Welcome to Curitiba, one of the greenest, cleanest, forward-thinking, safest cities in Brazil. Now, I arrived here last night on the other side of town, quite late, had a bit of a lie-in, and then I moved hostel this morning because I wanted to be somewhere near the historical side. It's a Sunday, and at this moment the Sunday market is just closing up, as I've just discovered, which is a bit of a shame. Right, I know I shouldn't have had that lie-in, so I've decided to stay here for an extra day. In fact, I think I might go that way. So I've had a quick look at a map. I've crammed as much information as I can to have a look around. So the city itself has been around since the 17th century, but it was in the 1960s when the guys got together and said, right, we need to plan this city out a bit better, and this is where the forward thinking comes along. They were one of the first cities in the world to pedestrianise the city centre. Most of the parks down the bottom regions of the city was all grassed over, not concreted, and that was made for flooding. So any floods that came along went to the park, flooded the park, and then when it dried it came alive. Right, I need to look at my notes to work out what this is. So these are the ruins of São Francisco Church, and one of the things they did in the 1960s was decide that they needed to keep the historical side of the city. So they could have just demolished this, but they've kept it. So this was first started to be constructed in 1809, and then by 1854, through a lack of money, it still hadn't been finished. And in 1860, a lot of the stones were taken away to build another church somewhere else, and these are what was left remaining. How do I know? It's all written down in English in front of me. That's handy. Quite nice. Now, after being in Brazil for over a week and a half now, it's nice to have some sunshine for a change. And there's loads of people just enjoying the Sunday sun. But across this way, where the market is one of the oldest museums in Brazil, the Museu Paranense. I probably said it wrong. And from what I've read online, this is more of a European feel to the city rather than a Brazilian feel. Loving it. It's just a hive of activity all the way around. Now, I've just found out through a little sign up there in English, the market is actually a crafts fair happening every Sunday. And I think this is the true historical side of the city. Wow. Right, unfortunately this is where I ran out of notes that I took. I was told by the guys in the hostel there's plenty of signs in English to look at, of which I've found none. But there's a coffee shop of Centro Histórico. So I guess all I'm going to do is, that's tall, just head down this way, and hopefully I'll find out some new information. So because I'm just staying in a hostel nearby, I thought I'd do the historical site today and then tomorrow go and see the modern wonders of the city. A vegan restaurant. I wonder what it's like just during a normal day, not a Sunday. So I've come further down mainly because there's a lot of bars with music blasting out and I don't want to get my hands slapped by YouTube. So this was the first area, if not world's first city, to have a pedestrian area in the centre. When they first did it in the 1960s, the shopkeepers at the time were not happy at all. But once they realised they were getting more foot passengers coming through to buy the stuff, then they changed their minds. And a lot of cities around the world started copying them. Now, at the moment I'm just walking randomly along. Maybe Sunday was a bit of a bad day to film, because at the bottom of the street, as you can see, it is just so full of bars, people enjoying themselves, but it's the music. It is just every bar has got sights and sounds of people enjoying themselves. But I've come down here because I've just heard a bit of a carnival going on around the corner. Oh, and there's a cathedral. I was wondering where that was. Oh wow. Someone's singing over there. This is just a vibrant city. You have a look up there, then I'll have a look at the cathedral. That is loud. There are times when you think, right time, right place, that was it, and they're still playing in the background. And this is where I've got the splits from the front, and then we're playing inside, and the noise was deafening, but amazing. So you can still hear them in the background, but I've come back to the cathedral. I am going to go back over there because it's just a joyous experience. So this is still part of the old pedestrian area. This is where it gets a little bit quieter. Oh, that noise is still banging in my ears. So with the cathedral just there, I'm stood in front of the Tiradentes Square. Now at the moment there's a guy on a microphone doing his stuff. I don't know if he's a politician or a man of God, but this is the city's ground zero and was the scene of its foundation in 1693. Now around the park itself, or the square, there is statues of famous people, personalities, and right in the centre is a transparent floor that allows you to see the 19th century paving. How do I know all this? It tells me there. I don't have to do any research, just walk around and look at the signs. So I do want to see the transparent flooring. Oh! Please say right.
Que Jesus está voltando, então eles estão apavorados, eles estão com medo. Não é tempo de nós olharmos para o mundo.
No idea what you're saying.
Que as nações estão fazendo. Você viu um acordo de paz?
So transparent flooring, which looks like it's a bit on the damp side inside. Yeah, you can't see much. Bit of gravel. Just wondering if there's going to be an arrest. Well, they've got police stuck out. I think they're looking for drugs. They've just found a little packet which they've just given to that guy over there. It's an exciting day today. Another thing that Curitiba is famous for is the fact that while the rest of the world were building metro stations, underground, Curitiba went, no, we're going to have bus metros. So they were the first city to have buses, and they've got bendy buses as a metro. And then a lot of the cities around South America start copying it. And there is rumours that London is looking into doing it exactly the same. But this city was the first. One of the things I've picked up on is the amount of murals on the walls. Everywhere you go. Now you've got this shiny one here, and then you go across the road and there's even more. Beautiful. What gets me in just such a small area, there is so much history going on around here, but not just that, the culture, the music, the sights, the sounds, the beer. Amazing. I'm heading back to the hostel mainly because I'm hungry. I've been out for the last couple of hours and I have to say this has been one of the best couple of hours in Brazil I've had. It has just been a mixture of all sorts. And the hostel that I'm staying in is just here. It's the Garibaldi Hostel and Bar. There's a bar in it. I think it's about £11 a night, but that's with a free breakfast. So I'm going to go in there, sort myself out and find some cheap food. But if you've enjoyed this video, then all you got to do is press that like button. Tomorrow I am going to go out and about and see what else is around in this city, so if you want to subscribe you'll find out. But until next time, bye bye for now.